didn't see me in the room when they said it. I was fixing the busted soap dispenser in the back hallway, water all over my hands, grease still on my shirt when I heard my father's voice float through the thin-ass drywall. Clear as day. We'll give it to Ryan once we're out of the red. He's the face. The name. The man of the family. Then Mom, quiet but sharp, but Todd's the one doing everything. A chair scraped. Someone shifted. Dad again, exactly. He's doing. Ryan's meant. Difference. I stood there, hands dripping, heart static buzzing like a shorted wire. They didn't know I was behind the wall. They didn't care. I just stood there and listened to my own life being bartered like a used car, low mileage, desperate owner. You ever been so angry you laugh? That breathless little wheeze where your brain's like this must be a joke, but your gut knows it ain't. Yeah. That laugh carried me all the way to the fryer. I burned the hell out of my arm because I couldn't see straight through the steam, didn't even flinch. Pain felt like a distraction compared to that. Thing is, you gotta understand what they were really handing to Ryan. This wasn't just a sandwich shop. It was Santucci's, built in '78. One storefront, one walk-in freezer, for generations of busted backs and immigrant guilt layered into every cracked tile and burned-out bulb. My grandfather bled into those countertops literally once when the meat slicer caught his ring finger. He wrapped it in duct tape and finished the lunch rush. I lived in that place, grew up sweeping behind booths, doing math homework in the storage closet between bulk pickles and mouse straps. First time I kissed a girl, walk-in freezer. First time I saw a man die, booth 6, heart attack mid-BLT. And when things went to hell in 2018, new plaza down the road, help reviews tanked after someone posted a video of a cockroach doing laps around the napkin dispenser. I didn't run. I stayed. While Ryan was off in LA taking ayahuasca with failed DJs and rebranding himself as a cryptotherapist, I was unclogging toilets and bartering with produce guys to give us one more week. I was the one who found that one magic combo. Switch the hoagie rolls, change the logo, and give out punch cards, and the whole thing around. Took 4 years of blood, sweat, and therapy I couldn't afford. And then, the day we finally hit black ink, they handed it to him. Ryan stood there in a salmon-colored blazer like some Pinterest pastor, smiling for the cameras my mom hired just to commemorate the legacy. He gave a speech. Called it a new era. I didn't say a word, didn't flinch, didn't scream or throw anything or call him out in front of the whole family. Instead, walked up back behind the grease trap, lit a cigarette with my still bandaged hand, and dialed a number I hadn't used in 12 years. Yo, Nico, you still in the game? A pause. Then laughter low and nasty. Oh shit, he said, Todd Santucci, thought you died. Not yet, I said, blowing smoke into the alley. But the family business might. His voice got serious. What do you need? I flicked ash off my fingertip. I need it to fail. Fast. Public. Loud. Legally unsalvageable. He let out a whistle. Damn, that bad. They promised me the keys, I said, staring at the back door where Ryan's era was kicking off with sliders and champagne. Now, I whispered, I want to burn the whole fucking house down. Nico didn't ask why. He just asked how fast. Told me he had a guy, Lewis, ex-OSHA inspector, turned whistleblower with a grudge the size of Philly. Said for the right price, Lewis could find mold in a bag of salt, ass leaks in an empty room. He'd write a report so brutal it'd make Gordon Ramsay cry. I said do it. He said, this won't be reversible. I said, neither was stabbing me in the back with a gold-plated spatula. I hung up, walked back inside, and watched Ryan fail upward in real time. He was behind the counter with his sleeves rolled, posing for a photo he clearly thought would end up on a Forbes article. Entrepreneurial comeback of the decade, some horseshit like that. Meanwhile, he didn't know how to use the register. Pressed refund instead of total and voided a $74 group order from the local firehouse. I stood 3 feet behind him as he muttered, "Which one's the mustard drawer?" The mustard drawer. I wanted to laugh, but it wasn't funny yet, not until the fall. Now, here's where it gets fun. I didn't just want the business gone. I wanted them to kill it with their own hands, own clueless mistakes, and just enough nudges from me to make it all feel like karma. So I started small, subtle. First, I rewired the Wi-Fi, swapped out the password for an old one we hadn't used since 2015. The POS system couldn't update. Credit cards stopped working. Customers had to use cash for 2 days. Ryan offered a 30% discount as an apology, not realizing that covered less than our margin. Free sandwich lost us $1.40. Then I texted Lori. Lori used to be our head waitress, got fired after a screaming match with Mom about attitude. She now ran a wildly popular food blog called Buns of Glory, snarky, savage, with a loyal following of middle-aged rage bakers. One bad review from her and you're toast. I sent her a message. Guess who's running Santucci's now? Bet you $5 he calls aioli white ketchup. Replied 3 minutes later. Already booked a table for Friday. I'm bringing my kitchen nightmares notepad. Meanwhile, I played the loyal dog, showed up, took orders, cleaned up Ryan's messes, made it look like I was still holding the whole circus tent up while slowly loosening the stakes. Ryan didn't even notice. Too busy flirting with a health juice rep who dropped off turmeric samples. Called her his brand soulmate. Invited her to redesign the menu. The time Lewis walked in for his inspection, the kitchen was a war zone. Boxes of raw chicken stacked next to bags of ice, leaking pipe in the ceiling over the prep table. Dishwasher running brown. Lewis didn't need to fake anything. He just wrote it all down. 3 days later, the citation came in. A thick envelope, red-stamped, with language like imminent closure pending structural remediation. Dad nearly had a stroke. Ryan cried in the freezer. And I sat in the parking lot, sipping gas station coffee, staring at the building like it was a sinking ship I'd finally punched enough holes in. But the game wasn't over yet. Because the real checkmate was already on its way. I'd invited someone else to the party. Someone Ryan forgot existed. Someone with paperwork, someone named Helen. And Helen, she doesn't forget promises. Especially the kind notarized in ink. Helen showed up in heels too sharp for that parking lot, and a purse fat with receipts. I watched her step out of a silver Lexus like she owned the place, which technically she might. Ryan didn't recognize her. Of course he didn't. Why would he remember the bookkeeper who did payroll before he grew his first armpit hair? But I remembered. Helen was the kind of woman who color-coded vengeance. Once reported my dad to the IRS by accident just because the 1099 forms were filed on off-white instead of pure white paper. She smiled like a church organist, but logged every missed penny like it was a federal crime. When the business tanked back in 2018, Helen didn't get severance. She got a promissory note. Handwritten. Signed by both my parents. Full repayment plus 8% interest once the business recovers. For years later. Recovery just got posted on Facebook with Ryan holding a damn we're back balloon. So I sent Helen the link with a note. Guess they forgot the math. She showed up 48 hours later with a file folder labeled Debt Owed by Santucci Holdings LLC. And when I say folder, I mean leather-bound dossier with tabs, photos, dates, notarized copies, and a spreadsheet that made my jaw click. Ryan greeted her at the counter like she was Yelp Elite. He said, "I'll come to the new Santucci's." She said, "I'm here for old Santucci's unpaid liabilities." He blinked like someone had unplugged his brain. She calmly slid the folder onto the counter between the pickles and a stack of gluten-free menus. "This business owes me $43,822.57. With interest." "Excuse me. I'll accept wire, cashier's check, or assets." We don't. I mean maybe the espresso machine," she said, glancing behind him. "I recall it cost $7,000. I thought my mother was going to pass out." My father grabbed the folder like he was trying to physically erase it. Ryan kept muttering, "This can't be real," like he was stuck in a dream where taxes are optional. But it was very real, and here's where the cracks turned to chasms. Helen had also included something else in the folder. A clause my father signed when he changed the business structure in 2019. Very deep in legalese, it gave her temporary decision-making authority in the event of debt default exceeding $25,000, which we were now in. And Helen exercised it on the spot. "I'm initiating a temporary freeze on spending, rehiring previous accounting staff, and placing Todd in charge of operations while we review financials." Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, let out the most pathetic sentence I've ever heard in my life. "But I'm the man of the family." Helen didn't even look at him. She just turned to me and said, "You remember how to run payroll?" I nodded. She handed me the office keys. Ryan turned to Dad, red-faced, searching for backup. I didn't fire him. That would have been mercy. Instead, I made him work. First shift under my reign, I handed Ryan a mop bucket and said, "Women's bathroom flooded." Someone dropped a tampon in the urinal. He blinked. "There's no urinal in the women's, there is now." To his credit, he didn't quit. Not yet. Maybe he thought this was a phase, a punishment, some toxic rite of passage where I'd hand him the crown after a week of toilet duty and say, "You've earned it, lil bro." No, he was gonna drown in the same grease pit he ignored for years. Only difference, I wasn't pulling him out. Helen backed every move, dug through 5 years of receipts, rewrote supplier contracts, slashed the useless vegan burger line Ryan had added 2 sold in 6 weeks. Both returned. We raised prices on the high-margin items, cut hours for the part-timers Mom kept hiring out of pity, and most important, I brought back Sal. Sal was the sandwich whisperer. Could stack a pastrami melt with his eyes closed and never skimped on pickles. Ryan once fired him for not being brand-aligned. Sal walked through the door, apron already tied. Ryan looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Didn't you retire?" he croaked. Sal just grunted, retired from bullshit, not from sandwiches. By the 3rd week, Ryan stopped showing up on time, started calling in emotionally sick. Then came the rumors that he was trying to open his own place, that he'd found investors, that he trademarked Ryan's Deli Kingdom like some suburban Game of Thrones knockoff. Let him believe I didn't know. Until I got a call from Shirley. Now, Shirley's a customer who comes in every Tuesday for egg salad and neighborhood gossip. She's got a beehive hairdo, a police scanner in her purse, and a voice like a frog gargling hot sauce. She leans over the counter one day and whispers, "Saw your brother sneaking into the old Quiznos on 5th, heard he's bringing in fridge units." I said, "Appreciate it, Shirley." She winked, "Torpedo his ass." I paid the Quiznos property manager a visit. Nice guy, real chatty. Told me Ryan signed a short-term lease under RR Sandwich Concepts LLC. Gave me a tour. Showed me the plans Ryan submitted for remodel. Even let me peek at his menu prototype. Guess what was on it? The Century Supreme. Same damn name, same damn ingredients, down to the exact pickle brand. That's when I knew. Ryan wasn't just trying to crawl out of the pit. He was trying to clone my ladder. So I called Nico. "Nico," I said, "you got that guy who does food truck permits?" "For sure," he said. "Why?" "I want to park something in front of the old Quiznos. Something hot, something loud. Something that sells the Real Century Supreme." He laughed. "Oof, you going scorched earth?" "Nah," I said. "I'm just gonna feed the neighborhood while Ryan starves on copyright fumes." The truck was wrapped in vinyl, that read. The original Centuries. One that didn't need Daddy's approval. We parked at curbside. First day, line around the block. Ryan came out of the Quiznos, holding his clipboard like a shield, eyes bloodshot and twitching. "You can't do this," he hissed. I bit into my sandwich, chewed, swallowed. "Can't or didn't think I would," he looked at the crowd. At Shirley waving from the front of the line. At Sal slicing meat with surgical precision. "You're a psychopath," he said. I leaned in. "No, Ryan. Just the son they bet against." Then I smiled and walked back into the truck. 2 weeks into the food truck blitzkrieg, Ryan folded like a lawn chair in a thunderstorm. Quiznos shut down before it ever reopened. No permits, no signage, no staff. Just a haunted shelf filled with broken dreams and 400 unused biodegradable sandwich wrappers that said a kingdom of flavor in Comic Sans. But he didn't disappear. Not yet. He pivoted, full delusional. Started calling himself a culinary strategist on LinkedIn. Offered menu audits to local restaurants. And even made a video where he reviewed his own sandwich in his car, crying. I watched it 5 times. Sent it to Helen. She said, "You want me to send this to creditors?" I said, "No. Let him keep it up. His shame's doing the work for us." Meanwhile, back at the shop, business was booming. People liked a comeback. They liked grit. Like knowing the guy handing them a hoagie once nearly lost everything because his brother thought provolone was a TikTok dance. We doubled weekly revenue in a month. Tripled catering requests. Even Sal smiled once. And just when I thought we were in the clear, Mom cornered me behind the walk-in freezer like a mafia informant. "You need to fix things," she whispered, clutching her rosary like it had Wi-Fi. "With Ryan?" I asked. "He's your brother," she said. "He's family." Leaned against the freezer. Let the silence hang. "He's the reason we almost lost everything." "No," she snapped. "We are. We made a bad call. We thought giving it to him would bring him back, would make him stay." That hit harder than I wanted to admit. She didn't give him the keys because he earned them. She gave them to him because she was scared of losing another son. Still, she did lose one for 4 years. The one who actually stayed. "You want me to forgive him?" She nodded. I want you to make room at the table. I laughed. Not bitter, just tired. I built the damn table, Ma. That night, I drove past Ryan's apartment. Lights off. Curtains open. Empty pizza boxes stacked on the windowsill like sad trophies. I almost left. Almost. Then I saw it. A flyer taped to his door. Eviction notice. Past due. He was done. Cooked. The golden sun tarnished to hell. And I knew this was the moment. The perfect time to end it. One final push and he'd vanish from the board for good. Instead, I walked up the steps and knocked. Nothing. I knocked again. Then finally, his voice. Low. Cracked. What? It's me. Silence. Then the door creaked open. Ryan stood there shirtless, smelling like Red Bull and regret. His eyes were hollow. He looked older. Smaller. You here to finish me off? He muttered. No, I said. I'm here to ask if you're hungry. He blinked. What? I brought you a sandwich. Real one. Your AI-generated bullshit. I handed him the paper bag. He held it like it might explode. Why? He asked. Because I needed him to see that mercy wasn't weakness. That I didn't have to crush him to win. But mostly because what I'd planned next required him alive. And indebted. Because the real revenge? That was still in motion. Ryan sat on the stained couch like a man tasting food for the first time in weeks. Crumbs on his lap. Mustard on his chin. Eyes glassy. Halfway through the Santucci Supreme, he looked up at me and said, dead serious. Did you change the pickles? I stared at him. That's your takeaway? He shrugged. They're crunchier. You add something? Vinegar? I wanted to lunge across the coffee table and slap the arse and delusion out of his face. But I didn't. Because this was the moment I'd been waiting for. The exact second when pride and desperation collided. And he became pliable. I said nothing. Just let the silence stretch. Finally, he cracked. You want me to apologize? No, I said. I want you to work. He scoffed. Doing what? You torched every opportunity one had. I leaned forward. Not everyone. I opened my bag. Pulled out a folder. Inside, a proposal. Not just a new business, a brand. Frozen sandwich kits. Vacuum-sealed hoagie magic. Logo mock-ups, supplier contracts, distribution numbers. Months in the making. And one name at the top. Santucci Brothers Cold Cuts. Stared at it like it was written in ancient Greek. You serious? I'm offering you a second chance. On paper, as co-founder. But it's my terms. You answer to me. You report to Helen. You don't so much as breathe in a different direction without my approval. And if you so much as think about screwing me again, I'll bury you so deep in non-compete clauses your next job will be folding napkins in Guatemala. He was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. Not fast. Not excited. Just surrendered. And that's when the real game started. Because see, this wasn't about sandwiches anymore. It was about legacy. We launched the kits in 3 test cities. I ran ops our Philly. Ryan handled the West Coast under my thumb. Every decision reviewed. Every email CC'd. He was the face, sure, but only because I puppeteered the strings. Thing is, he was good. Like, annoyingly good. People loved him. His dumb videos went viral. Oh, it's your boy Ryggy, bringing that spicy capicola heat from the East Coast streets. Cringy, sure, but customers ate it up like communion wafers. We hit profitability in 6 weeks. And for a moment, just a flicker, I thought, maybe this could work. Maybe we turn this thing around and finally build something that isn't built on spite. Then Helen called. You need to come to the warehouse. Now. I drove straight there. Walked into the loading dock. It was holding a box. Plain. White. Unlabeled. I pulled this off the last West Coast shipment, she said. I opened it. Inside, a bag of cold cuts with the wrong label. The wrong brand. The wrong supplier. Cheaper meat. Not ours. Not approved. I froze. Then Helen handed me the invoice. Ryan's signature, front and center. He'd bypassed our supplier. Pocketed the difference. I stared at that signature so long the ink started to blur. He's double dipping, Helen said. He's cooking the books. I didn't speak. Didn't blink. Just felt the slow, crawling heat of rage start to rise again like a fever I thought I'd cured. He played you, she said, again. But this time, I didn't go cold. I went quiet. Because this time, I wasn't going to make a phone call. This time, I was going to take him down from inside. And when I was done, Ryan wouldn't just lose the business. He'd lose his name. I waited 3 weeks. Let him think he'd gotten away with it. Kept sending him praise via email. Great quarter, man. Love the new promo video. Really proud of the growth out west while I documented everything behind the curtain. Supplier switch dates. Payment discrepancies. Logistics data that didn't line up. I even had Nico pull the shipping logs from the warehouse. Turns out, Ryan was rerouting the good stuff back east. And dumping the cheap cuts in California like it was the damn sandwich mafia. He was skimming tens of thousands off our margins. Faking inventory reports. Making it look like West Coast sales were underperforming when in reality, he was laundering my legacy. So I set the trap. We flew out to LA for what he thought was a brand relaunch. The plan was to announce Santucci Brothers going national. Big event. Us influencers, even one of those guys who does food reviews on roller skates. Ryan showed up in an ivory blazer and a fedora like a backup singer from a ska band. Had a gold lapel pin that said RYGUY. I let him shine. Handed him the mic. Let him give his speech. Watched him thank himself 5 separate times. And when he got to the part about honoring our roots, I stepped up beside him. Clapped his back. Took the mic and pulled out a manila folder. Before we go national, I said, we believe in transparency. A screen lowered behind us. Slide 1, warehouse invoice. Slide 2, meat quality comparison, our brand vs. the bootleg crap he swapped in. Slide 3, bank records. Routing numbers. His name. The shell company he funneled payments through, RRC Consulting. Real subtle. Ryan's smile faded like dry erase marker in the rain. He reached for the mic. Handed it to him. Want to explain, Ree? He laughed. That sad, strained little chuckle people do right before the world caves in. This is out of context. Slide 4, security footage. Warehouse. 3:42 a.m. Ryan signing the delivery. You could hear the crowd react. That low hum of "oh" like someone just got dunked on. And then slide 5, legal notice. Effective immediately. Ian Santucci's voting rights and ownership stake in Santucci Brothers Holdings were revoked under the fraud clause he himself signed when I brought him on. He dropped the mic literally. It hit the stage with a clang that still rings in my skull. He turned to me, eyes wild. You set me up. I stepped close. Real close. Close enough that only he could hear. No, Ryan, you set yourself up. I just gave you the rope. He lunged. Security stepped in before he even got close. They escorted him out through the back while Shirley, the same old lady from before, now in a branded sandwich hoodie, filmed the whole thing with a Facebook Live caption that read, "Rye Guy Gets Toasted." That night, I sat on the rooftop of our new LA storefront, sipping cheap champagne, legs dangling over the edge. Helen called. Congrats, she said. It's yours. All of it. No, I said. It always was. But I wasn't done. Because there was one more thing left to do. And it involved a billboard, a slogan, and a message I'd been waiting years to deliver. Not just to Ryan. To everyone who ever bet against me. 2 weeks later, it went up. Right off I-5, facing the gridlock heading into downtown LA, 40 feet wide, backlit in red at night like a burning confession. No sandwich pictures. No smiling faces. Just 6 words in block letters, bold and defiant. He got the name. Kept the recipe. And underneath it, in small white font, a location pin. The real Santucci's. Coming soon. People lost their minds. TikToks. Memes. News segments calling it the most savage billboard in food history. Ryan's name trended for all the wrong reasons. His fake deli concept was DOA. Investors backed out. He tried suing me for defamation, breach of contract, and emotional damages. The judge threw it out like a stale meatball sub. Turns out when you commit wire fraud on video, you lose a lot of sympathy. He went dark after that. Last I heard, he's managing a froyo kiosk in Temecula under a fake name and telling coworkers he used to be in corporate. I let him keep the memories. That's punishment enough. As for me, I expanded. Philly. Chicago. Austin. LA. We went national without him. The frozen kits hit grocery stores in 20 states by fall. Inked a deal with a streaming platform to produce a docuseries called Cutthroat Cold Cuts. Helen's the executive producer. Sal got a royalty clause. Shirley's our official brand ambassador. The family? Dad doesn't talk much anymore. He sends emails now. Always signs them proud of you. Mom still lights candles for Ryan every Sunday. She thinks I don't know. I do. But I also know this. She eats my sandwiches. Every week. tells her neighbors they're made with real family love. And maybe they are. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. Revenge isn't loud. It's not fire or fists or screaming matches in parking lots. It's quiet. It's systematic. It's handing someone a throne you wired to collapse. Letting them sit. Letting them gloat. Then watching it cave in beneath them while you sip champagne and rewrite the kingdom's laws. So yeah. They promised me the business if I saved it. I saved it. They gave it to my brother. And now he delivers DoorDash from my restaurant.